Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of TTS Today, and today we're going to continue on a review and tutorials of the TTS 2.0 platform, and we're going to talk about action items. Action items are tasks or to-do lists that are built into TTS to help you work a little more efficiently. So let's head over to action items. Okay, so here we are on the dashboard screen, which I have a video on how to customize this, by the way. But today we're going to go over action items, and as I mentioned in the introduction, action items are basically just task lists or to-do lists. Looking at our action item menu, we have an action item report, create action items, and my open action items. So let's skip over reports for now. Let's go to create an action item. And this is going to create a sales action item. There are basically two different types of action items that you can create, a sale and a quotation action item. So from the menu directly and also from projects, and I'll show you that in a second, you would create a sales action item. So clicking on the create button brings up a nice menu. One thing to note also is these screens, and I've mentioned this in other videos, are designed for mobile. So for instance, if I move this down and I start to shrink it, it will adjust for a mobile platform. And we'll expand that out. That comes in really helpful when you do reports, for instance, because there's a lot of information on the screen. So I'll show you that when we get to the report section. So an action item, again, something that we could assign to people and send emails. The nice thing about it is once I assign this, I can send emails directly from this page. So it'll automatically notify the people that they have a to-do list or to-do item to work on. So I'm just going to create one right here. You can provide a to-do date, a due date. So let's say the end of the month. You can assign a specific salesperson, and you can assign multiple salespeople. You can pick a specific customer. If this is for a customer, so we'll just choose one. By the way, these filter buttons here, if I had a specific vendor I needed to look up, I just start typing, and it will automatically filter. And now we also, at the bottom, we have recurring. So we can actually have, let's say it's a specific item that needs to happen once a week. You want to have a new item created, and that's what this is going to do. It's going to create a new action item weekly. And it can add comments. And we can also attach a file. So if we needed something attached as a PDF that relates to this particular action item, we can attach it on here. And then once I'm done, I'm not going to click on send email to assign, but I'm just going to click on assign an action item, and it will send, and it will assign it to those people. Okay. And it tells you, gives you a little synopsis. So that's creating an action item, real simple. And that is from the action item menu. If you wanted to create a sales action item from a project, for instance, I can go into projects, and I can choose our project here. This is one that I already have created. So now this has all that information. And notice here I have action item. So when I go to create an action item through a project view, it will fill out the title for me. And again, all this information is the same as I just showed you. So one way of creating it, that's a second way. We also have the way, an additional way to create it through recent sales. So if I go down to our recent sales, for instance, and again, recent sales, and we're going to talk about this in another future episode, their way of entering POs into the system on a daily basis. So instead of waiting for the manufacturers to provide you with reports, you can actually enter sales on a day-to-day basis, and they could show up right here. So this is giving us recent POs that we've entered into the system, but you'll notice they have an action button here. So when I click on that, this had a PO labeled on it, it would show you that. And we can send emails to assign. Again, the same way, I can assign to multiple people. So let's do that real quick. Put the end of the month. Assign action item. And then that will show up in our open action item. So a third way of entering action items for sales information. Okay, moving on, the next section, how do we actually look at all these action items or to-do lists or to-do items that we've created? You would open up your action items and you would go to My Open Action Items. And the default view for that is going to be your standard view. And again, this works great when you are on a mobile device. So we can actually shrink it all the way down and it would give you a nice, simple, mobile-friendly view of your action items. On the desktop, I find the best way to view these, if you want to see them all in a simple section, is use a spreadsheet. And I notice at the top we have quote action items. I didn't show you how to create a quote action items, but we have them first. And then we have our sales action items. So what can we do by viewing this? We can edit these. So if I wanted to go and edit this action item, I can go in and edit it right here. So I can change the completion status. Right now these are still open, but if they've been completed, I can click check and complete that. I can change who the assigned inside salesperson is for this. I can change the due date. One thing to note, we get a couple of calls that people try to go in here. Now you can see all this information, but you will only be able to edit your action items or ones that you've assigned. If I've assigned an action item to 5 people, I can go in and edit those. But the only person who can edit these is the person who created the action item. Important to remember that. Okay, and that would be the assigned by person, by the way. The assigned by person actually has its own column. So Nick has created some, Freddie Smith has created a bulk of these. Okay. And I can add different attachments. So when I'm finished with that, I could just close it. Next, create a sales call. So if I have an action item, like a to-do item to go on a sales call, and I've completed that sales call, I can actually create, and this is part of the CRM section, which I made an earlier video, and it'll update it with all the information that I have. Who the customer was, if there was contact information, and then I would just add my purpose, results, and save that entry. So makes it an easy way to create a CRM or sales call. So let's go back to my open action items. And again, it's going to go to the default. By the way, the default, if you notice here, it will tell you if it's overdue. And this, again, is showing all your open action items. You will not see any completed action items. To get completed action items, we would actually have to go in and run a report on completed, and I'll show you that in a second. But so in this particular section, which is the standard view, you can see an overdue listing, and it tells you the status over here. When I go to spreadsheet, you do not see the current status, but it will tell you if it's completed or not. But it won't tell you if it's overdue. Okay. And delete, of course. So if you need to delete an action item, we can click here and delete, and it'll automatically delete that one. And that's really it for our open action items. One last thing is you can download this information to Excel. Like all our other screens, you can actually have this information show up in an Excel spreadsheet if you need to save a copy, if you need to look at it or email it to somebody. You can do that from there. Okay. Last item is going to be the action items report, and I'll see you in that section in a second. And I want to see completed. I want to go back to 2021. And we'll leave all the default settings, but you can filter by your assigned to, your assigned by, for specific customers or for specific vendors, and then create report. Editing on these. So these are all completed. Notice that completed is in there, in that section. The last thing I want to view is how do I add a action item to a quote. So to do that, you have to be in the quote section. So let's go over to quotes, and I'm just going to do a search for a quote that I already have in the system. I think I have some called demo. Here we go. So demo 3. So I'll click on it and it'll open up the quote. Okay, so on the left hand side we have the quote options, and you'll notice assign action. So what this is going to do is going to create an action item based on all the information here. Demo 3, it gives you a quote number. I can assign a person on this one. I can give it a due date. So let's go date, and then we can send an email as usual, but let's just assign this. And if I go back to my action items, we can notice at the quote level, we have an action item for that particular demo 3, which is right over here. And there you go. So again, a simple system. A lot of people that use this a lot will stay in this open action item screen so they can have all this information at their fingertips, and they keep track of any tasks that they're currently working on, active ones, inactive ones, ones that are overdue, and they can either edit them and create or add new people or assign them to new people. So it's a really nice way of organizing your organization where everyone can see this information, which is the key part of this. So again, that is action items. As always, I love making these videos for you, and we'd love to hear from you, any topics that you'd want us to cover in video format. So send an email to asktts@tradetechsolutions.com, and we'll be sure to get a video out for you. So until next time, have a great day. Goodbye.